Hello YouTube, Joey here from Team Burning Infinity with another deck profile for you guys. I know I did a profile of this on the live stream, but for all of you guys who have not seen the live stream, I'll leave a link in the description down below actually. We did deck building basically and talking about what decks are like, etc, etc, etc. You guys can watch that for that. But we showcased our decks, and I showed Darkness Dragonworld because there were a couple requests down in the comments, which somehow magically get deleted every time the live stream ends. And yeah, so I figured I would show Darkness Dragonworld to all of you who have not seen the live stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the deck profile, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Buddy Fight content. And yes, I will be showing the sideboard for this deck. Okay, so starting off with the world, obviously, Darkness Dragonworld, my favorite world. Always will be and always shall be. Best world ever. So yeah, Darkness Dragonworld and my buddy's Deathgaze Dragon. Deathgaze Dragon is a 6/1/1. He is the call cost of pay 1 gauge, and he has the ability of Spectral Strike, which is whenever this creature would destroy a monster, you inflict X amount of damage to your opponent, and his Spectral Strike count is 2. So, very nice card, and very beautiful art. Let's move on to the monsters. Starting off, I play 2 copies of Black Dragon Tyrannus. This is our 1000 Rapier clone, really good in the deck, just helps a lot with the rush theme. So, pretty important to have. Might bump him up later in the future. Continuing on, 3 Black Dragon Decipins, a 3/3/2 for 1 gauge, basically a Spike Shoulder clone, so get that rush in there. And then we have 4 copies of our buddy, Deathgaze Dragon. He is really cool. He is 6,000 power, we already went over him, and I love this card to no end. So yeah, that's that. That's all for the size 1s, play 9 of those. For the size 2s, we play 2 copies of Black Dragon Dividers, 6,000 power, 3 crit, and 2,000 defense. Really good first turn play, but just helps get that rush in there. Continuing on, 2 copies of Death Wizard Dragon. Death Wizard Dragon has systemic dagger stats, but he has the ability of when he would enter the field, you can pay 1 life and put the top 2 cards of your deck into the gauge. So it really helps by that gauge excel. It makes the deck a lot more consistent. Really important for the deck. And then, for the last of our size 2s, we play 4 copies of Bloody Moon Dragon. 7,000 power, 2 critical, 1,000 defense, the ability of Spectral Strike for 1 damage. So, very nice card, helps with the rush, and you don't have to focus on destroying monsters like you do with Deathgaze to get that good amount of damage in there. You can destroy monsters and get a little pint of damage here and there, or you can just rush them really hard with 2 criticals. And Death Wizard also has 2 criticals, so makes the rush easy. And then for our size 3, we play 2 copies of Black Dragon Mabletaker. Mabletaker is a call cost of 3 gauge, but he has really good stats, being 7,000 power, 2 critical, and a really good number of 8,000 defense. He has the ability of Spectral Strike on count 1, and he has the ability of Double Attack. But that 2 critical really helps get the rush in there if you're not destroying monsters. I would definitely say play this in every Black Dragon deck, and if you can't play him, play Malice Force. For our spell lineup, we play 2 copies of Black Revenger. It has a 1 gauge cast cost. You can only use it when you have 5 or less life, but you get to add 1 size 1 and 1 size 2 from your drop to your hand. And you don't have to add both, you could just add 1 if you want. Although, more cards is more cards, so I don't know why you wouldn't add both. Next up, we have 2 copies of Dark Energy. And this is a really good card. You can only use it when 1 or more of your monsters would be destroyed. You pay 1 gauge to cast it. And it has the counter ability of nullifying the destruction, which means penetrating Spectral Strike would not affect the player. And the monster being destroyed gains counterattack for the whole turn. So really powerful stuff right there. Mainly just going to do it once. Like, no one's going to just blindly attack into something like a Mabletaker, which you've given a bunch of counterattack to for the whole turn. My bad. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Guillotine Cutter. You may only cast this card when you would be dealt damage, and it has the cast cost of pay 1 gauge. but when you use it, you can destroy an item or set spell, and it has the counter ability, so really nice. You could combo it with Death Wizard, or if your opponent misplays and attacks you with a monster first when they have an item equipped, etc. So really nice. Moving on, we play 2 copies of Devil's Stigma. Now this is a good card. You cannot cast this card during the final phase, but it has the counter ability of destroying 1 monster, put the top 2 cards of your deck into the gauge, and gain 1 life. It's good for the fact that you can nullify attacks with it, and use it if you really need to get something like a Slow Pain Fall Off. So yeah, really useful for the deck. Then we play 3 copies of Abyss Symphony. This is basically your survival chance. It is a life break of 6, and life break is a term where basically once you reach a certain life you can cast a card, like Black Avenger has a life break of 5. But yeah, pay 1 gauge to draw 2 cards when you're at 6 or less life. Pretty useful. Next, why is this card a thing? We play 4 copies of Death Grip. Pay 1 gauge to destroy size 2 or less monster on the field. Now this is just stupid because you could destroy too many things. It's almost better than Pillar of Fire. Actually, it could be said it's better for the fact you don't need a center, or you can have a center, but that's besides the point. Next, we play 4 copies of Midnight Shadow. This is basically your Artabai replacement clone. And then we play 4 copies of the infamous Black Dragon Shield. Now this card is really nice. You can only cast this card if you would be dealt damage, and if you do not have a monster in the center. So it's basically, what it does is it reduces the damage you would take. It could be back card effect, monster, whatever. And you take 0 damage and gain a life. So it's basically a Chillax clone for free, but it's a bit more... It's a bit worse and a bit better in its own ways. Moving into items, we play 2 copies of Evil Death Scythe. It has 4,000 power and 2 critical, has an equip cost of 1 gauge, and it has a spectral strike count of 1, so it's pretty useful. And then we play 4 copies of my favorite item in the deck, Black Sword Heartbreaker. Black Sword Heartbreaker is 3,000 power, 2 critical, and no equip cost. It's a vanilla weapon, but it helps get that rush in there, and you're not exerting your gauge, meaning you can get more cards that you need in faster. So, it really helps. Plus, it's good first turn hit. And then, we play 2 copies of Slow Pain Fall, which I'm trying to get the second SP for. You may only cast this card if your opponent has 4 or less life, and they do not have a monster in the center. Its cast cost is pay 4 gauge and destroy a black dragon on your side of the field. And what you do is you deal 4 damage to your opponent. So it's basically an end gamer. And I really like this card. So yeah. That's it for the main deck. And now for the sideboard. We're playing 2 copies of Death Ruler Elia. Because Death Ruler Elia has a nice ability where if it's on the same row as a monster on your opponent's side of the field, that monster loses 3,000 power automatically. It's a nice tech card for Black Dragons for the fact that it makes things like Seeger easier to get hit by, Death Gaze, etc. So, really nice. And if you're playing in Seeger and you have this and 1 Death Gaze, you just link attack and they can't drag an outlaw. So, really nice, really nice. Then, we play 2 copies of Death Ruler Pain. Death Ruler Pain's a size 2 with 9,000 power and 2 critical. Really nice card. Just there if you need the beater. Then we play 2 copies of Purgatory Knights Malice Force Dragon. Now this is for matchups that you really don't want. You just want to rush heavy, destroy their center, and beat, 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 beat. So yeah, really good card. Really good card. Size 3, 8,000 power, 3 critical, 5,000 defense, pay 2 gauge to call it, and when it enters the field, destroy a monster. Next up, we have 2 copies of Death Shield. It's a cast cost of pay 1 gauge. You counter, nullify the... You can only cast this card if you, as a player, are being attacked directly, and it has the cast cost pay 1 gauge, as I said. But what you do is you nullify the attack, and you destroy a monster, a size 1 or less monster that has attacked this turn. So, pretty good. Pretty good. And then we play 2 copies of Lunatic. This is an interesting card. What you do is you pay 1 gauge, and what you do is you take a gauge away from your opponent. And if you have 2 Black Dragons on your side of the field, what you get to do is you get to let your opponent choose one of their own cards and discard it. So really nice, really nice. Good against matchups like Dungeon, where they're gauge heavy and they want their hand. So that is it for my Black Dragon Rush deck profile. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more Buddy Fight content. Joey from Team Burning Infinity signing out. Peace, guys.